Well, hello there, folks. This is John Montez with the Monty TX YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're having a great day in your part of the world. Folks, I want to share with you an interesting conversation I had in the coffee shop earlier this week with a gentleman that I met there. It was an older gentleman, and I walked up to him, and I had a deck of cards in hand, and I was asking him permission if I could show him something. He had an interesting reply. He said, "Sonny, I wouldn't be interested now if you're just going to show me one of those. You pick a card and then you lose a card and then you find the card." He goes, that's kind of boring. I wouldn't be interested in that." I said, "Well, no, sir, not at all. Like, we've kind of evolved in magic since those kind of simple plot kind of days." I said, "If you allow me, with your kind permission, just for a few minutes, I think I can go further than that." And so he had a puzzled look there. He had his hand on his chin. He goes, "Okay, Sonny, let me see what you got." So here's what I showed him. So I said, "Sir, I tell you what, I'm going to hand you the cards, and before you do anything with the cards," I asked him, I said, "think of a number, any number between 10 and 20, and let me know when you've got a number, okay? And just say it out loud." So and he picked the number 15. So I said, "Okay, sir, what I'd like you to do is take this deck of cards, deal one card at a time onto the table, and deal out 15 cards." So he did. He 1, 2, 3, and he counted them out loud: 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I said, "Okay, sir, now that number that you thought of, it consists of two digits, a 1 and a 5. I said, "Now if you add those two numbers together, what do you have?" And he said, "Well, that's simple, that's a 6. I said, "Okay, we'll take that little packet of cards there and deal 6 cards onto the table." So he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I asked him, "I tell you what, now don't let me see it, but take the top card from that little packet of those 6 cards, and you take a look, and you can show the other people nearby at the other tables, and you guys look at that card, and you remember that card, and then put it back." So he looked at the card. And I'll show you, this is an example of what happened here. So this is the card that he would have seen, and then he put it back on the deck, and I told him, "Okay, now put these cards back there, and then put those cards back on the deck." And then I began to do some shuffling, and I said, "Okay, sir, well, I tell you what. You know what? I'm just going to put this deck of cards on my forehead, and I'm going to see if I can sense what card you just saw." And he goes, "Oh, come on, you can't." "Well, let me see." So I held the deck of cards up near my forehead, and I kind of tried to feel some of that energy from when he was holding the cards and when he looked at the cards. I looked at him, and I said, "Sir, I'm very sure that the card you saw was the Ace of Spades. And was I right?" He was kind of impressed. He goes, "Oh, okay, well, that's pretty good, but is that all you got?" I said, "Well, no, sir, I can go even further than that. I'll tell you what, you saw that Ace of Spades, but you know what? I'm going to spell the word ace. A-C-E. And I said, "You know what? Since it was the Ace of Spades, let me spell the word spade. Spades with an S. S-P-A-D-E-S. I said, "Sir, I promised that I'd go further than that. We spelled the word ace here, and guess what? We've got the other 3 aces that you didn't see." And then I told him, and you know what? We'll go even further than that. I spelled the word spades here, and guess what we have here? We got the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7 of spades." And he said, "Well, Sonny, that's pretty good. Not bad. Can you do some more?" I said, "Sir, you're working with the right person today, because you know what? I'll go even further than that." I said, "You know what? Let me show you here. There's that Ace of Spades that you saw earlier. I put it over here with the aces, and I said, and not only that, but I'll go," and I was about to say further than that, but he finished the sentence for me. He goes, "I know, further than that." I said, "Yeah, you're right." I dealt out. I said, "I'm going to give you the rest of the spades." So there's the 8, the 9, the 10, the Jack, the Queen, and the King. And I said, "See, this is much, a little bit more than just a simple, the pick a card, lose a card, and find a card, right? Would you agree I went further than that?" And he said, "Sonny, I'm very impressed, and yes, you went a lot further than that." So, All right, so he enjoyed it, and I kind of like performing it for him. But anyway, just wanted to share that with you guys. Hope you're having a great day. If you get a chance, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.